Same Suns team, same result. Second night of a back-to-back. They go to Orlando, a team that's hurting, a team without their primary scorer, former number 1 overall pick. Maybe he was number 2. I think he was number 1. Paolo Banchero. Franz Wagner's out. This team is dealing with the emotion of having lost these primary scorers on their team. But have no fear. If you suck at something, you can play the Phoenix Suns, and we'll make you feel all better because we fucking suck. It's a shit team. Without Kevin Durant, this is a shit basketball team. And we have the honor of talking about it night in and night out, and trying to figure out the what, the why, the where, the how. Welcome to Suns Jam Session Podcast, which is being simultaneously cast once again on the channel of SunsGeek because Matthew once again is not feeling well. So SunsGeek stepping up and stepping in. You know, you are better than any member of the Phoenix Suns at stepping up and stepping in when adversity occurs, man. Thank you for joining me on this show again.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me. Thank you for letting me co-stream this live on my channel as well. And unfortunately, we got to talk about another Phoenix Suns loss. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I don't know how long I can go on this one. It's
I don't blame you.
You know, I mean, we talked pretty in depth at what some of the issues were with this team last night. Here we are again, and this was really a wash, rinse, repeat type of game. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about everything that happened in Orlando tonight. A reminder to everybody, if you haven't done so already, subscribe, rate, and review, whether you're on the Suns Jam Session channel or you're on the SunsGeek YouTube channel. It's the best way to support us, those who are technically your psychiatrists. We take time out of our days to talk you through the emotions that you're feeling post-Suns losses again and again and again, and we don't even charge you. The only thing that we charge you is we ask for a like. I mean, how crazy is that? And a reminder, if you follow the link in the descriptions below, it is about a month out until Dave King's Brightside Night. $15 will send a kid to a Phoenix Suns game so they can enjoy the misery of being a Suns fan. Let's start them early, Suns Geek. Don't you agree?
Absolutely, man. I also have Dave King's Bright Side of the Sun Night linked in my description box as well. Seriously, you guys go check that out. Go support a good cause. And maybe I'll be there. We will see.
Oh,
to be
shit.
Determined. I don't know.
Oh,
but it's a good cause, y'all. Seriously, go check out that link.
$15 to if you donate like over $150, which sends 10 kids to the game, you get tickets to the game. Maybe you can see Suns Geek and myself there. Maybe that's worth it to you. So another reason, another incentive to donate to Dave King's Brightside Night. All right, what are you popping open tonight? You got anything tonight, Brandon?
I wish I had a beer like I did last night because I really need one, but I just got a Dr. Pepper tonight.
All right, well, is it already popped open?
Not really. It's about.
All right, pop that sucker open.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm drinking water again because I'm still feeling sick. So let's talk about the Suns, baby. Phoenix Suns did what they did last night and did what they did in the game against the Pelicans as well. They took a lead into halftime and ultimately blew it in the second half. This time it was primarily the fourth quarter where they decided to shoot themselves in their own foot, turning the ball over ad nauseum, allowing the young, brash, physical, poking and prodding Magic an opportunity to start feeling themselves. And when that happens at home, you're going to lose those games. Which brings me to my first question.
Matthew, I've got to ask.
Suns Geek, this was expected, right? I mean, a loss. We talked about it last night coming into this game, even though that we knew that this team was going to be down their two primary scorers. There's just, you know, when we talk about vibes around the Phoenix Suns, the vibes are not good around the Phoenix Suns right now, are they?
I don't think so. And that's what's really concerning right now. I wish I could be a fly on the wall in the Suns locker room right now. Because, yeah, Mike Budenholzer and his coaching staff, they can yell and scream and point fingers, but that's not going to help this team right now. I don't know what to do in this situation. That's why Mike Budenholzer and his coaching staff get paid millions of dollars to hopefully keep the locker room intact, keep the quote vibes high, keep the spirits high. We always hear Mike Budenholzer talking a lot about how this team is full of competitors and everything. Well, that's great. I mean, 5-6 years ago, we didn't have a team full of competitors, but you got to have a team full of winners. You got to have a team that is well connected, sort of like how we saw the Orlando Magic team being well connected tonight. And right now, the vibes are bad, the connections are bad, and I wish I could hear what's going on in that locker room.
I do too, and I'm worried because you look at the post-game press conference last night where Mike Budenholzer was referencing how, as you mentioned, this is a team full of competitors, and these losses hurt. But he still made note that the locker room is still in a good place.
Apparently.
Well, why is he saying that then? Is he self-assuring himself?
Yeah.
Are there aspects of this locker room that potentially are becoming fractured? Is there a lack of accountability from their superstars / out the super in that word that is going to start to fracture the foundation of this Phoenix Suns team? Sure, we're 23 games into the season, but again, we're the 20 game mark is where you kind of go, you know what? This team is who they are.
Yep.
And if there's adjustments that need to be made, we now know who they are. We know that they are a horrible team without Kevin Durant. We know that they're a team that it comes down to, again, to Devin Booker to me. It really does. It really does. And that's where my frustration lies, is the fact that Devin Booker should be the guy night in, night out. We've mentioned this before, but on all these situations where there's no Kevin Durant, he needs to be the alpha amongst alphas. And he's not getting it done. 25 total points tonight, but in that fourth quarter, when you need Devin Booker to step up, he's 2 of 7 from the field. That's 28.6%. He's 0 of 1 from beyond the arc. He's a -9. He has, 2 personal fouls. He's not executing like the Booker we used to know.
Yep.
And I constantly ask myself, and I want to get your point of view on this. There's been a shift with Devin Booker, and it all started when Kevin Durant came to the Valley. Because when CP3 was here, Devin Booker was a certain kind of player. He had an edge to him. He was the alpha. He knew that he had Chris Paul there to mentor him and to support him. But even his attitude and the way that he approached the game is different. Ever since Kevin Durant showed up, who has always had this kind of lackadaisical approach, unbelievable player, but very off-putting with the media, very like if you attempt in any way, shape, or form to critique what I'm doing, how dare you? How dare you talk about me that way? You don't know ball. You don't know what I go through, which all of which is true. But the fact that he goes out and consistently says it, and Devin Booker, I kind of get the same, quote unquote, I get the same vibe from him now, man, where it's just like, it's no big deal. It's game 23. It's like you continue to carry this lackadaisical, it's no big deal thing. When the playoffs happen, you're going to get swept the fuck out of them like you did last year.
How many times on this podcast and on my show did I say, oh, John, we need to wait until we're 20 games or 25 games in to really know what this Phoenix Suns team is? Well, now I'm starting to eat crow on that because KD or no KD, I think we know what this Phoenix Suns team is, and that is a bad thing. Now, going to Devin Booker, I don't even know if this is going to answer your question. It might sound like a complex, multiple answers here. I'm still trying to keep the faith in Devin Booker.
Of course we are.
You don't want to put unrealistic expectations out there. He's not Nikola Jokic, who's having like back-to-back 50-point triple-double games. Yeah. But at the same time, I get what you are saying. This is our franchise player, our superstar. The reason Kevin Durant is here, the reason that we traded for Bradley Beal, the reason that Chris Paul came here, you know what I mean, is because of Devin Booker. He is definitely in a funk. And what did I say on yesterday's podcast less than 24 hours ago? I said, is there some kind of like unreported injury that he is dealing with right now? Because I want to know about it. I think Phoenix Suns fans and the Phoenix Suns media need to know about it. Because why is Devin Booker not stepping up and playing like the superstar Devin Booker that we all know and love? Again, I don't want to put unrealistic expectations on him.
That's true, but at the same time, like multiple things can be true at the same time.
Yeah,
Devin Booker is my favorite Phoenix Sun to ever wear the purple and orange. Period. Yep. It ends with him. What he's done as a member of this organization, as he's en route to break the all-time scoring record by any member of this franchise in its entire history, the loyalty he's displayed, the reverence he has for the history. Like when we won our 63rd game and he gives the jersey to Al McCoy, he understands what it means to be a Sun. And for that, we'll be ever thankful.
Yep.
That is true. But what also is true is this version of Devin Booker, post-Olympic Devin Booker, is not the same Devin Booker that we had before. He's in a funk. He's in a slump. I don't care however you cut it, slice it, and try to serve it to somebody and tell me it's not bullshit. It's bullshit the way that he's playing right now. And tonight is another one of those games where after having the narrative around the Suns over the last 24 hours be like, yo, Booker and Beal need to step the fuck up.
Yep.
These guys, without Kevin Durant, all the role players played their asses off last night. You and I sat here and talked about how everybody did their job except for Booker and Beal, and the way that they combined for 36 points on horrible shooting and 1 of 12 from beyond the arc. And he comes out in the first quarter, doesn't shoot a shot until like 4 minutes left in the game, has some assists along the way, but just doesn't have that aggressive gene.
Killer instinct.
Yeah, that we're used to seeing from him. And anybody who wants to sit there and bitch and moan and complain that he's getting double teamed, motherfuckers, he's been getting double teamed since he arrived in Phoenix.
Exactly.
Okay. It's nothing new to him. What's new to him is how he's approaching it. And in something that he even said earlier this season, where he's just like, old Booker used to do that. I don't do that no more. It's like, well, we liked old Booker. Old Booker was productive. Old Booker would try to win games because when you have that attitude coming into a game, you lose by 5 points to the Magic. You lose last night to the Heat by 10 points. You lose to a 4-win Pelicans team. Attitude is what you can control, your attitude and your effort. And if your attitude's shit, the effort's going to follow, man.
Preach, man. I 100% agree, man. It's tough times for the Phoenix Suns right now. It is tough times for Devin Booker and Bradley Beal right now. And it's tough times for Suns fans, man. I wish I had something to counter with and follow up with, but I really don't, man. I don't know.
Well, I think the nice thing that lies before us is the fact that we don't have to watch this team for the next 5 nights. I mean, they don't play till Saturday. Thank God. I get to have a week where, and this is the other sad part. This is the second time this has happened this season.
Yeah.
Where earlier this year, there's some weird scheduling quirk. The Phoenix Suns had like 5 nights off, right? They played 7 games in 10 nights. And then had 5 nights off for some reason.
I thought we played Portland coming up, though.
We do next Sunday.
Okay. Huh.
So we have a back-to-back next weekend, right? So we get the whole week off. Then it's a Saturday-Sunday affair, just like this weekend.
Okay.
But it's the same thing where the team had a random like 5 nights off earlier this season. And we were in the same boat when that happened, SunsGeek. Yeah. We're like, fucking good. I can't watch this team anymore. They can't watch themselves. They keep seeing these breaks and saying, hey, this is an opportunity to get healthy. But meanwhile, they're still not taking care of business on the court. They're a pathetic team right now. And that's not to say that they can't change and they have the talent to change. Yeah. But realistically, when we watch this team, I can't see – and knowing that Kevin Durant is not out there and he's such a key piece, but the fact that our entire season hinges on a 36-year-old's health is fucking terrifying, man.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I don't know what the front office and James Jones and Matt Ishbia are going to do. Like, I know Suns Twitter is probably having a meltdown. This is going to be one of those rare nights where I stay off of Suns Twitter, and I mean that.
A good idea.
And social media in general. But I really hope that, our owner, Matt Ishbia, James Jones, et cetera, I hope that they really take a look at this recent stretch that the Suns are in and say, okay, we got to do moves X, Y, and Z because this just is not working. And, if somebody were to interview them, they would do the whole media cliche. Oh, well, there's still lots of basketball left to be played. It'd be a typical SunsGeek answer. You know what I mean? Lots of basketball left to be played. We can turn this around. But no, I really feel like the Suns have to do something. And I'm not sitting here on this podcast and on my channel saying, blow it all up. The Suns need to start over and rebuild. No, they're not going to do that. But they have to do something, and they have to do something fast. Luckily, we're in the right month because I believe coming up here soon, a lot of players, especially recently signed players, can be traded. You'll start seeing the trade moves start picking up a little bit, and then the trade deadline is February. So Matt Ishbia, James Jones, if you're watching, please do something because the Suns need help.
How do you think Matt Ishbia feels, right? A new owner has invested tons of money into this team. Yeah, literally billions into this team. Yep. It is easily the highest paid roster in the entire league, and they're 12-11. Like, how do you think, putting all the professional polish that he presents himself with. We know he's a cusser behind doors. We've heard, a couple leaked voicemails about,
I saw that.
what's his face, the owner of
Dan Gilbert.
Yeah, Dan Gilbert.
I love that.
Whose team is crushing it, by the way.
Yeah.
The Cavs are absolutely crushing it. His arch nemesis
Yep.
is kicking the shit out of the NBA. Meanwhile, he's spending the most money out of every team in the NBA. How do you think Matt Ishbia feels right now?
I bet you he is behind those walls or whatever, closed doors, cussing a storm up, and he absolutely should. To Matt Ishbia's credit, I really do feel like he is a competitor, and at the same time, and a sponge trying to absorb everything he possibly can. And in all fairness, he isn't just in year two; he is in year 2 or year 3 now, whatever it is, of this whole ownership thing. So he is learning. But again, that's exactly why I went on that big rant just a minute ago. I was like, I hope you do something, Matt Ishbia, because this is not working. So I feel like he's pissed off behind closed doors, and hopefully he does something as soon as possible, man, because this ain't working.
Do you think it's legal for Matt Ishbia to go to Bradley Beal and be like, listen, I know you got this no trade clause, okay? And good for you. It's your guaranteed financial security.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here's what I'll do for you, buddy. If you waive the no trade clause, if you just say, you know what, I want out of Phoenix, trade me wherever the fuck I want, I'll give you an extra $10 million on the side. I mean, money's no object to Matt Ishbia. Do you think, is that legal?
Probably not, but and I know this was a very long time ago with a different commissioner in the NBA, but if they can veto a Chris Paul trade to the Lakers, they can probably swing this somehow because, billionaires and, Adam Silver and all that, I'm sure they can make it work.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, it would be great though, because I think that, again, there's two things at play here. Bradley Beal, let me back up.
Yeah.
So one of my biggest challenges I had with DeAndre Ayton when he was a member of the Phoenix Suns is the moment that he signed the maximum contract, his price for value paid instantly went down, in my opinion. Because for as great as he could be, and a walking double-double he wasn't worth maximum contract money.
Preach.
And that was where he lost me, where I really started to become critical of his play. Because when he's on his rookie contract and he's making, 10, 11, 12 million a year, you expect lapses to occur. And when they do occur, as frustrating as they may be, you still at the end of the day go, well, he's only 12 million a year. So it's like, what do I expect from him? Yeah. It's the same kind of argument I have with Jusuf Nurkic. Jusuf Nurkic has his ups and downs, but he's also a mid-level center being paid $18 million a year. I think there's 17 other centers in the league who get paid more than him. Yeah. So as frustrating as it may be, when it comes to the price or value paid and how you construct a roster, I go, you know what? That's okay. I'm not happy with his underperforming statistics some nights, but one thing I will say that for Nurk versus Ayton is he always gives his effort. But when you look at Bradley Beal, and the fact that he's making, $50 million this year, there's no planet where he is, from a price for value paid standpoint, meeting the expectations of the contract that you're paying him. And right now, when Kevin Durant's out and he has an opportunity to be either the alpha or the Batman or the Robin, he's not performing to those levels. Tonight, 18 points. 8 of 12 from the field. Yeah, good. Efficient. 1 of 2 from beyond the arc. He had 6 fouled out. He had 4 total rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 5 turnovers, and a couple block shots. A damn good line, but not $50 million a year line.
Yeah. Yep.
So from a roster construction point, you have that. And if somehow you could trade that would be amazing. But you're still left with the Booker, too cool for school attitude guy who's still on your team, who we all love. I feel like I have to say this. And I know that KD stands who always watch our podcast love it when we talk shit about Booker. And Booker fans, I feel for the most part, like they're right lock and step with me. Like, God, I love that guy, but man, what the fuck is up with the attitude or lack thereof? There's no fight in this guy. And even if there is fight with Devin Booker, when he gets pushed, like he did plenty tonight against the Orlando Magic, which we'll talk about here momentarily, he cowers away. Or whenever Devin Booker, and this happened his whole career, he's not one of those guys who gets angry and then gets even. He gets angry and then he gets sloppy, right?
Yeah. he gets a little too competitive and get like a T or like a technical foul, and stuff like that. I don't know, man. Bradley Beal, like the numbers look good kind of in this game, but it didn't really produce on the court. And he had a few good flashes here and there. And I was like, oh, that's the Bradley Beal that I want to see on the court. But you're absolutely right, man. And $50 million. And, I might be eating crow on something else, man. I give this a 1% chance of happening. But I was talking about this, and I referenced this on yesterday's show too, when I did a show with my YouTube friend, Super Mario Hoops. Like, maybe we should bring Bradley Beal off the bench. You know what I mean? Because he could be that $50 million sixth man of the year. You know what I mean? Like, maybe we need that second punch. But as you said on yesterday's show, like, offense isn't a problem with this team, although some nights it is. I don't know the solution, man. Bradley Beal has been struggling. Devin Booker, I hope that the fame and the shoe deal and everything else that's happened throughout Booker's career isn't getting to his head. I hope that Devin Booker turns this around. I know I'm coming off right now as like a Devin Booker fanboy, and he can do no wrong, because I've received some criticisms in my comments saying, like, SunsGeek, you defend Devin Booker too much. I'm sorry, man. Like, I believe in my franchise player. You know what I mean? Like, he's been here since 2015. He completely turned everything around for us. But again, sort of like we mentioned on yesterday's show, like, if there's ever a time to prove it, Bradley Beal, this is right now. Devin Booker, if there's ever time to prove it, there's ever a time to prove it, it's right now. And right now they're not doing it.
And in 2 games, Bradley Beal has 12 turnovers.
Yikes.
2 games. So do you think that when he goes to a restaurant that he has to let his waiter know that he's allergic to dribbling the basketball?
Yep, probably.
It's like sometimes you got to let them know if you got a nut allergy or if you're, lactose intolerant. He's like, just so you know, before I order, I'm allergic to dribbling the basketball. And they're like, oh, okay. So you got like Crisco hands? Absolutely. You might have to cut it up for me because the knife might slip and I might take a thumb off or something. But, that's what we've been watching. That's what I've been seeing, at least on the court over these past few games is, and again, it's a lack of adjustments. And I wrote about it for Bright Side of the Sun in my preview. I talked about, if the Suns want to win this game, the key for them to do so was going to have to win with finesse because they're not a physical team.
Yep.
They lack that ability. And what I wrote, I go, finesse, the only way Phoenix can overcome the physicality of the Magic, knowing that if they attempt to fight physical with physical, they will not be rewarded with the whistle, is their finesse shooting. In their last matchup with Orlando, the Suns struggled mightily from beyond the arc, hitting 25% of their, or what is it, 32% of their shots. You have to lean into who you are. But I also knew coming into this game that the Suns have consistently followed this script where they start off shooting hot, and you look in the first half and they were 9 of 16 from beyond the arc.
Yep.
Right?
They were cooking.
And then the second half, they're 4 of 12. They're 33%.
Yikes.
And that right there is kind of the story. You combine that with the fact that they're very turnover heavy, and they can't live up to the physicality of an opposing team. And the Magic, to their credit, with Jalen Suggs, who went for 25 points, this is a highly physical team that knows that you can't call everything, right? And they're somewhat of an irritant, if you will. It's they ramp up their aggressive play. The Suns struggle to match that intensity, and they just start missing the shots, and the momentum just goes away. And that's exactly what happened in this game. It's like it's wash, rinse, repeat. SunsGeek. I can't like it's like last season with the fucking fourth quarters, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's rinse and repeat, like you said. And that's sort of the scary thing, man. Like, what happened in that second half, specifically in the fourth quarter? Because I heard them talking about it on the broadcast. How many like fourth quarter turnovers did we have? Like 6? You know what I mean? We had like 6 or something turnovers in the fourth quarter. That is unacceptable. I think we had 24 assists tonight and 21 turnovers. I'm not exaggerating. 21 turnovers. I don't care how many threes you hit in the game. You have 21 turnovers. You're probably going to lose. And that is unacceptable for a team that I specifically was hyping up, saying like, oh, Tyus Jones and Monte Morris are going to fix our turnover problem. They can't do it by themselves, man. This was a turnover by committee tonight. And they mentioned it on the broadcast, man. A lot of them were unforced.
Exactly.
And they came at the worst part of the game. Like, if you turn the ball over in the first quarter, maybe I can forgive you a little bit, all right? Especially if you clean it up, because we've seen that. The Suns will turn the ball over a lot, like in the first half, and then clean it up. This time it was the opposite. Absolutely unacceptable, man. And again, just I know this isn't the best analysis. I know this isn't the best kind of podcast thing to say.
No, but it's therapy.
Yeah, it's therapy. Like, I really don't know what the answer is for a lot of this stuff. And that's what I'm saying, man. Like, I don't know, man.
And just a stat check you on there, it was 7 turnovers in the fourth.
Oh, my bad.
Like,
7 turnovers.
Yeah, 7. Like,
my fault.
You're not going to win games when you can't hold onto the ball. Bradley Beal had 3 of them. And they're live ball.
You get a turnover.
And they're live ball turnovers, too. It's like Bradley Beal goes left. And he just dribbles it right to the opposition. They just take off a fast break. It's a layup. You know, it's just like, time and again. And you're right. They have no ability to play physical against anybody. And in a young, physical Western Conference, you think of the teams that are at the top. You think of the OKCs and Houston, who's come on. Yes. You think of Denver, even though they're discombobulated, that's a team that, because of their ability to play physical, can beat the Suns. And Phoenix is just too finesse. They're too complaining, and they can't overcome themselves. That's the issue. These other teams, this road trip, none of these teams beat the Suns. The Pelicans did not beat the Suns. The Heat did not beat the Suns. The Magic did not beat the Suns. The Suns beat the Suns 3 out of 3 games with mental errors, with inefficiencies, with inabilities to play defense, with inability to play physical, with inability to match intensity or to carry over. Because, again, in all 3 of these games, they had leads. And it's almost like they're looking at the fact that they have the next few days off and that Kevin Durant's coming back, and they're like, dude, we just got to get to the other side, man. It's like Friday at 3 p.m. to them. Yeah. And they're just trying to get to 5 o'clock.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't know who originally said this, or if I just saw it floating around on Twitter, or if you might have said it on your pod. But even with Kevin Durant, the Phoenix Suns are not good enough to go into a game and be like, oh, we got this win. Like, we look at their record, they got injuries. We can just cruise through this game. They are not good enough to do that. And I feel like in some games this season, they have done that, because Eddie Johnson pointed this out on the broadcast, man. I know I keep going back to that, but that's because they were making a whole bunch of great points. The Suns were in control of so many of these games, even with KD, and most of the times they blew it, or they'd have to go into overtime, or it was a late fourth quarter game. You know what I mean? Like, it is unacceptable, man. Also, I'm seeing some crazy things in the chat right now. Like, Suns fans, I know things are bad right now, but y'all just need to chill, man. Like, we're not going to bench Devin Booker. We're not going to do any of that crazy stuff. We're not going to blow it up. We're not going to do that, y'all. But just tough times for the Suns, man. And I'm just trying to be as positive as I can on this podcast.
All right, so this is a great question from Nate from the Aussie Suns Fan podcast. He goes, Void and Geek, are we just a pissed off fan base right now, or is this a legit playing team as it's currently constructed?
Better than a play-in team, but not top 4 in the West. That's my personal opinion.
So you're saying like a 5-6 seed?
Yeah. Yep. Like last year.
Yeah, I concur, but I can definitely see them as a play-in team. I honestly,
which we do not want to be. Like I said it last night on this podcast, we do not want to be a play-in team.
I think that there's enough other teams out there who have an identity and know who they are and know how to win as constructed, or can beat you multiple ways. Because right now, the one thing that we've learned about the Phoenix Suns is the only way that they can beat you is if Kevin Durant is playing. That's the only way that they can beat you. Mm-hmm. To your point, there's no one you look on the schedule and you're like, oh, that's an easy win. This team's blown out one team this season. They blew out the Los Angeles Lakers in a game in which the Lakers just couldn't shoot, where that viral highlight that's going around of the Suns miss, or the Lakers miss a 3. They get the rebound. They miss another 3. The Suns get the ball. They go down. They shoot a 3. They miss a 3. They get a rebound. They go, where people are utilizing a clip, laughing at the NBA.
I hated that. I hated not that clip. I hated the response to that clip.
Yeah, well, everyone's like, "This is the modern NBA." It's like, yeah, what are you missing? Fucking Bill Cartwright in the paint for 16 seconds while he's trying to navigate down to do a post up. Like, I know the NBA might be unconsumable at times when they're missing a bunch of shots, but it's also still fun as shit to watch.
Can I say something real quick about that? I want to give credit to, and I literally screen capped this and saved it so I can keep going back to it. I want to give credit to Jackson Frank, who quote tweeted that clip and said, I don't watch the NBA anymore because I saw 1.5 minutes of bad basketball during a 23-point blowout. Like every time somebody would like do that, I just leave that right there because that's the best answer. Like the overreaction to that clip was stupid.
Yes.
That just goes to show, with all due respect, there's so many casuals out there, man. Like,
Oh, yeah.
they really think that's modern day basketball being played when that's not even the case.
No, and don't get me wrong. Like obviously the 3-point shooting's up, but
Yeah.
there's still ways the games are still played down. You know, just look at the Suns. There's another statistic that they can't win. Right? It's called points in the paint. They lost that 48-38 tonight to the Orlando Magic.
Yep.
Second chance points 20 for the Magic, 9 for the Suns, and what that tells you is they miss Nurk.
Yep.
Because on a night like tonight, when Goga Bitadze is going crazy on the interior. Right? The guy had 21 points and 16 fucking rebounds. His career high in rebounds comes on an offensive tip-in that ultimately just seals the game, right? It's 113-110, offensive tip-in for him, ball game. And the reason why that happened isn't because a ton of threes are being shot. No, it's because down low, the Suns didn't have the size to match this team, which is the first time, by the way, in these last 3 games that they didn't have the size to do so because against the Heat and against the Pelicans on this road trip, they were both undersized as well with their center depth. But Goga, man, this guy went off. We've seen him in 2 games this season. That's all we need to see, man. Like that guy's he cooked us in both games.
Oh, but I thought that Yusuf Nurkic was the worst center in the league and we should trade him and he needs to be off this team and he needs to be benched until we can trade him. I bet a lot of you guys are missing Yusuf Nurkic right now. And you know what? I'm going to get a little crazy here and sort of sound like delusional for a minute. This is where I'm kind of giving the Phoenix Suns a little hope because, we can talk about, Kevin Durant, we need Kevin Durant. We need Kevin Durant. But like, we didn't have Yusuf Nurkic. We didn't have Ryan Dunn. I'm just saying this game might have been different, and these last few games might have been different if we would have had those 2. But I know there's will be a lot of people will be like, oh, well, Nurkic gets injured a lot, and Ryan Dunn's a rookie. Everyone's got an answer because apparently they're all experts as well. So I don't know. I'm just trying to give the Phoenix Suns just a little more hope. But if they keep losing like this, man, you'll see me do my old school like rant videos and stuff. The Suns deserve it, man.
Yeah, like the big warthog in the chat, like Nurk also sucks. He wouldn't have won us the game. LOL.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's called the disease.
He would have helped, though.
If.
He would have helped.
I assumed he would have helped in some capacity. I assumed that he would have had the ability to negate some of those 20 second chance points that this team had, that he would have grabbed a couple extra rebounds, that he could have bodied up Goga Bitadze to the point where that guy doesn't go for a career high 16 rebounds against us.
Suns
Again,
killer.
it's the disease of what if, right? We'll never know. We could just sit there and say, well, what if this happened, or what if this, or what if KD? And unfortunately, that's the mantra that we have as Suns fans this season with this team, is we're always wondering what if. Because a team that started 8-1 on the season is now 4-10 in their last 14 games since.
Yikes.
And we're not average, we're below average, And when you play against a team like Orlando, and shout out to Perplex Damage, a member for 43 months.
That's awesome.
Says Suggs is dirtier than Grayson's entire career.
Yes.
Suggs is an irritant. Jalen Suggs comes into this league. God, where did he go to college? Is he a Gonzaga guy? I'm pretty sure he's a Gonzaga guy. And he came into this league and he's made a reputation off of being an irritant. He's the kind of guy who, if he's on your team, you love him. And when you play against him, you just want to punch him in the fucking teeth because he's nonstop falling down, drawing fouls on your guys by being overly aggressive. Almost hurt Book at the end of the game, but it was clean, But,
While you were talking, I did look up. He is from Gonzaga. But yeah, he had a great game tonight, man. But he is one of those players, man. I tweeted out, I was like, Jalen Suggs playing defense on the Suns tonight. It was like one of those, like, it was like from the Water Boy when he's like slamming people to the ground and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, he was definitely playing dirty tonight. But I will give credit to him, man. He's turned into a fantastic player. He might make one of the all defensive teams this season. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't remember if he made it last year or not, but he's a fantastic defender. But you're right. If you're on the Suns team, even if he was playing dirty, we would love it. We'd be like, did you see what Jalen Suggs did to that player and stuff? But yeah, when it's happening on the other end, especially to our franchise player, Devin Booker, We don't really like that very much, but he's turned into a great player, man. Like you said, he's an irritant. And Goga Batadze, like I said, he might have joined the list as Suns killers. But again, if Nurkic was there, maybe he wouldn't have been.
Yeah, I mean, Goga had more rebounds than Plumlee and Oso combined.
Yikes.
So you might say Nurk sucks, but it probably would have been nice to have him out there.
Yep.
I don't want to play a bunch of player drops tonight. I don't think a lot of players earn them, but I'll give them to two players that I do want to talk about. And let's start with Royce O'Neal.
Yeah, bling, bling, bling. Rolls, Royce, Rolls, Royce, Rolls, Royce. Yeah, nigga, Rolls, Royce.
Royce O'Neal is on the best heater, if you will, of his career. So in this game, ends with 16 total points, 6 of 10 from the field, 4 of 6 from beyond the arc, had 7 rebounds as well, an assist. He too had a couple turnovers, but he has 58 points in his last 3 games. That's the most he's ever had in a 3-game span in his career. His previous high was in 2019 with the Utah Jazz, where he scored 45 points over a span of 3 games. And the Suns lost all 3 of them. And that's been part of this losing streak that's frustrated me personally, is I've been waiting for Royce O'Neal to return to getting right, because he was right during that front end of the season when we went 8-1.
Yep.
He was unbelievable on offense and defense. And then he kind of went through a slump right when the Suns were slumping. I'm like, hey, man, if we could just get Royce right, we're going to win games. We've gotten Royce right, and the team still can't win games, man.
Yeah, and that's where I hope, again, I said this yesterday, and I know I sound like a broken record. I just hope that the rest of the players, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, will be inspired by this. Because in all fairness, players do go through stretches. Because I'm kind of repeating myself here, but it's like we did a podcast less than 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
There will be a time where Royce will struggle. The threes will stop going in. That's how basketball's played. Hopefully then Bradley Beal and hopefully, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant will step up during that time. But this is pretty damn impressive, man. This is the reason we traded for him. And I hope that Royce O'Neal continues to do this, and we'll continue to do it for the foreseeable future, because we're going to need it. And speaking of the foreseeable future, you mentioned we're in game 23 or whatever. It's about to be 24 soon. Every win matters at this point, man. And we're going to need big games from Royce O'Neal if we're going to win a lot of games.
Hell yeah, dude. We're practically a 500 team now. We need to start stacking some wins, man.
Yep.
This guy.
Sha la 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 la. Mr. Jones and me.
Tyus Jones in this game ends with a grand total of 21 points.
Yep, 21.
7 of 16 from the field, 5 of 8 from beyond the arc. He had 6 assists, only 1 turnover. So Tyus Jones, we go up, we're up by 5 at halftime. And in the first half, Tyus Jones had 10 total shots. He was 5 of 10 from beyond, or from the field, 4 or 5 from beyond the arc. He was a major offensive cog in that first half. In the second half, he attempts 6 shots, only makes 2 of them, and only scores 5 points. Is there going to be a time where the Suns realize that they need to give Tyus Jones more of an offensive run rather than leaning into Bradley Beal, perhaps? Because he has provided efficiencies. He's provided spacing. He obviously provide playmaking that doesn't result in a lot of turnovers. And I think the only turnover he had was a shot clock violation, right? Where they finally ran a play through him and then no one can get open and he got stuck with the ball late. I mean, should we be seeing more from Tyus?
That's a great question, but it's going to be a complicated answer. I see the vision, and 5 made threes tonight was super impressive. I feel like teams are starting to, he was already on the scouting report, but I feel like teams are really starting to put him on the scouting report, especially after this game. And I actually took a picture earlier because coming into this game, Tyus Jones in his last 5 is averaging 14 points a game, 7 assists. That's pretty common. Those are normal, typical numbers. But shooting 58% from the field and 50% from 3.
Damn.
That's pretty damn impressive. And then he goes off tonight in the first half. And it's funny that you mentioned the second half. I don't know if it was just great defense or if they just went away from him. But I feel like they kind of did the same thing with Royce O'Neal. he didn't get as many shots, and the shots he did make, it didn't really matter. Like, I feel like that because Royce and Tyus Jones didn't score as much in the second half was another contributing factor to this loss. So I see the vision, like maybe creating more plays for Tyus Jones and going away from a little bit from Bradley Beal. But I wish like Kevin Durant and Yusuf Nurkic were on the court so we could see these big performances from Tyus Jones and Royce O'Neal, hopefully lead to more wins and stuff. But I don't know, man. And again, I know I sound like a broken record here. If there's ever a time to experiment, it is right now. I could see the vision, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Because I feel like if that happens, Bradley Beal will just kind of be standing in the corner like last season and not doing anything.
Maybe he'll be standing in the corner asking himself if maybe they should trade me,
Right.
Should I ask them for a trade? Like maybe he can contemplate that while standing in the corner instead of turning the ball over.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept because he's proven that he can handle an offensive load, right? You look at him last year, 12 points a game with the Washington Wizards. He's averaging 11.8 before tonight, so he'll probably be pushed over, into a career high with 12 points a game or 12.1. And as you mentioned, a very capable three-point shooter who is a 37 career percentage from three and shooting 39.8, and so that'll be over 40% after tonight,
especially from those corners too.
Yeah, he knows how to find that space, and he knows how to execute. And I know that when you just talk eye test and you're watching the Suns execute their offense and they get the ball to Tice and he's shooting a three, you feel good about it, right? Yeah. Like I feel good when he shoots a three. I feel good when Royce O'Neal shoots a three.
Yeah,
I don't feel good when Devin Booker shoots a three. I don't. I just feel like he's either forcing it or he's like heat checking himself in the middle of a non-heat check situation. He's like, I thought I got fouled before.
That happened tonight.
Chuck up a three. Yeah, I know.
I saw it. Like it happened.
That's what he does.
In the first half.
It's what he does. He goes, I thought I was fouled. So in effort to showcase that I was fouled, I'm going to miss this three now as well.
The Suns went on. I'm sorry to interrupt. The Suns went on a 14-0 run, and then there was like multiple threes made in that 14-0 run. Then Devin Booker puts up a heat check three, and then that run was over.
That was it. That was it.
Sorry to interrupt.
And then they came back at the back end of that, So
yeah,
it'd be an interesting thing to, as you mentioned, experiment with, is perhaps giving Tyus a little bit more offensive responsibility relative to scoring. And it might not fit his archetype or something that he necessarily wants to do, but it could be something where you just pull him aside, like, dude, we need you we need you to be a little bit more aggressive, because that floater that he has is highly effective. His shooting is highly effective. And it's just this kind of consistent issue where from an efficiency standpoint, our stars, other than Bradley Beal, 8 for 12 tonight, but turning the ball over 5 times, overall efficiency, it just hasn't necessarily been there. And I'd like to potentially see somebody step up, somebody try to make a difference, somebody say, this is my team, but have the ability to execute it as well. Because again, I'm in this world right now where I've lost faith in Devin Booker. I've just lost faith in the guy. My favorite son of all time. That's true. Have I lost faith in him? That's true as well.
Yeah, it's. I don't wish I was with you on that. I wish Suns fans were as optimistic and as positive as me. And I know I come off as delusional. And that meme where the dog's sitting there and it's on fire and he's like, "This is fine.
This is fine."
That's me right now. But I'm just trying to keep Suns fans to keep the hope and keep the faith, man. Believe in this Phoenix Suns team. There's still lots of basketball left to be played. And hopefully we can get healthy, get right, and continue getting back on winning streaks and playing good, fun, entertaining Suns basketball. Because you kind of referenced this earlier in the show. These games are hard to watch. Like the entertainment factor isn't there. And when it is, it's only for like a few stretches here and there.
Yeah, it's a few runs. And
and
there's this uneasiness. And again, like you knew it going into halftime. Up 5, I'm like, okay, we're not going to win this. Like you feel it, and it's, you have the Magic second unit who were led by the ever vocal Mo Wagner, who just doesn't shut the fuck up. And they ramped up their physicality at the start of the fourth quarter, and they poked and they prodded and they flopped their way across the hardwood, and they were doing everything they could to draw calls. And it's a mental game that's tough for opponents to overcome when you're playing a team like that. The Magic embody like the childhood pest who'd constantly threaten, "I'll sue you," when we were kids.
Yep.
They're an annoyance, a distraction, an unrelenting source of frustration. And I've said it about the Suns throughout this season. This is a mentally weak team. They're soft. There's no other way to put it. This is a soft, Phoenix Suns team right now. Is that their fate for the remainder of the season? It's yet to be written, but there has to be some self-accountability. There has to be somebody, or whether it's themselves or their coaching staff or each individual player, who looks within and says, you know what, we are soft and we need to ramp up our physicality and our grit. Another term that I constantly utilized last year in referencing that Suns team, they lacked grit. This team lacks grit. They are not like sandpaper at all. They're just like a porcelain place that I like to poop.
I'm not comparing the Orlando Magic to the the bad boy Pistons teams, or I'm not really comparing any modern day physical team to the bad boy Pistons teams. My point I'm trying to make here is physicality wins championships, because the Pistons won back-to-back championships in the late 80s.
Defense wins championships.
Yeah, exactly. Defense wins championships
and well. When you stop contesting, again, this team entering is the worst 3-point shooting team in the league. The Orlando Magic, they averaged 31% from beyond the arc. They shot 33% from deep.
Yep.
But the key is they were 12 of 36. The Suns were 13 of 28. So we shot 46%, but we didn't lean into what I expected this team to do. And it's like I mentioned earlier when I was referencing the preview that I wrote for Bright Side of the Suns. The Suns had to lead into their finesse. They had to lead into their 3-point shooting. And I know it's something that it can kind of loses our game. Live by the 3, die by the 3, right?
Yep.
Well, they've been dying by the 3. So in this one, they didn't take nearly as many. They took 28 threes. I mean, that alone is somewhat, at least in my perspective, is as you look at the landscape of the 2024, 2025 Phoenix Suns, that is an anomaly to me.
Preach.
Because if you look at their overall season attempts, the least amount of attempts they've attempted this entire season was 31. They shot 28 threes tonight.
Yeah.
Why did they just give up on the 3? Is the perimeter defense so good of Orlando, or were they just running themselves off the line?
A little bit of both, but like at the same time, even if the perimeter defense is like those bad boy Pistons teams and stuff, you still want to launch those threes, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it in yesterday's live show, and I've talked about it in so many different shows, like keep launching those threes. I don't know what happened. Like, even if you're being run off the 3-point line, keep launching them, man. And another thing too is like, maybe I'm crazy here. Maybe I'm not watching the games as close up as I should be. Maybe I should literally be right in front of the TV screen, but like, what happened to our ball movement, like zipping the ball around? I haven't seen much of that, because that would, even if you're turning the ball over like we did a million times tonight, that will at least lead to a few more 3-point attempts. I'm not saying makes, attempts. I haven't seen like a good zip around possession where the ball goes to an open 3. Maybe in the first half I did, because Royce O'Neal had a few of those, but I don't know, man.
Completely with you. It's just
the best analysis ever. I don't know. I really don't know.
It's without Kevin Durant, we are a rudderless ship, adrift at sea with no direction, and that's just kind of the way it is.
Titanic headed right into the iceberg.
Man, there's an iceberg dead ahead. All right, I didn't do a subreddit stakeout. Matthew was supposed to, and then he had a migraine, and I didn't feel like doing it because I was right.
You're sick too.
Yeah, I'm tired. So let's just hand out some hardware and get the out of here.
Jam Star of the Game.
All right, Jamsters and Geek Squad, this is a reminder, subscribe, rate, and review, and let us know in the chat who your Jam Star of the Game is. You went first last night, so I'll go first this night. This is kind of tough. I kind of feel like it's the Jam Star for me is like first half Tyus Jones.
Yep.
That's like it. Like,
yeah.
What do you got?
First half Tyus Jones as well, man. I'm right there with you. But again, I have to keep this tradition up. I have to do it. Honorable mention, Grayson Allen, who I hope is okay, by the way.
Yeah.
He went to the locker room with what I believe is an ankle injury. I don't know if there's been any reports or updates yet, but hopefully he's okay, because we're going to need him with or without KD, man. But he was playing pretty well, in my opinion, up until, he got ran over by, I think it was Mo Wagner, and got his ankle stepped on.
Yeah, that, and he got hit on the hand after a follow through on a 3-pointer as well.
Ouch.
So taking a look, let's see. Suns Fever says Jamstar, Tyus, Jamstar, TJ, and Royce from Michael Kolb. Creepy Crawly hurt his finger to poor bugger. All right. Well, up next for the Phoenix Suns again. It's next weekend. I think it's somebody said in the chat earlier it was Friday, not Saturday. Isn't Friday? Friday's when they're doing the NBA Cup championship or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah, you might be right on that because we do have a game. Yeah, Friday against the Jazz, but I thought we played the Blazers this week.
We play them the 15th. So is it Friday the 13th is our next game?
Maybe.
Oy vey.
I don't know. That whole schedule, the NBA Cup, and they had to add in games. That gets confusing.
Yeah. Well, next up for the Suns, the Jazz, right?
Yeah,
A shitty team. Potentially Kevin Durant will be back. Potentially Yusuf Nurkic will be back. Potentially Ryan Dunn will be back. Potentially Grayson Allen will be gone. I don't know.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I don't know what to expect. It's too far away. I just know that I'm going to enjoy some and like I was going to say, I'm going to enjoy some time not watching the Suns, but that doesn't mean that the content stops. Obviously, being the managing editor of Bright Side of the Sun, I've already put together a series that I'm going to have throughout this week called, the Bright Side 6-pack, where each day I'm opening another can of frustration and breaking down one aspect of the team, some of the things that we've discussed right here on the podcast. SunsGeek, what do you got coming up this week?
Well, like I said, I'm going to do my best to try to stay off Suns Twitter tonight and enjoy my night and play some video games and watch some movies to forget about Suns basketball.
So what video games and what movies? What do you
man, currently been playing 2K 25. I like to go into the My Arrows mode and try a bunch of crazy little modes and stuff, but kind of been playing a little more of my team. But I've been kind of having a craving to play the Batman Arkham games again.
Yes,
I feel like I play them every year or every 2 years, but I think it's been like 2 years. I've just been like itching. I'm like, I need my Arkham fixed. You know what I mean? So probably going to play those games. I have so many movies to watch that are like on my streaming playlist and all that. So I'm going to be watching some movies. But are you
going to watch any Christmas movies?
Yeah, I've been listening to Christmas music. We're kind of Christmas fanatics over here.
Well, so like what are your go-to Christmas movies? Because last night we watched the Santa Claus. Tonight we'll probably watch Santa Claus 2.
Yep.
So what's your go-to?
I have so many, but you know what has become one of my newer ones, which I feel like is sort of a slept on one, is Arthur Christmas from 2011. And I feel like a lot of people don't know about it.
I don't.
Seriously, check it out. It is a phenomenal Christmas movie. Just Google Arthur Christmas 2011. Incredible film. I own it on Blu-ray. It's fantastic, but I'm a little old school. Like I do love the Santa Claus and the Santa Claus 2. Those are must watches. I like the Jim Carrey, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I don't know why that movie always gets me. I like It's a Wonderful Life. I mean, that's a classic. It's an incredible
I cry.
Film. I could go. Yeah, I know, right? It's an incredible
every time.
Seriously, if you're down, if you're having downs in your life right now, just go watch It's a Wonderful Life because that movie will hopefully change you in a good way.
I love that movie, but I always have to watch it alone every year because my wife won't watch it because she thinks it's stupid that he's contemplating suicide instead of dealing with his problems.
Right.
She goes, he's trying to kill himself. That's fucking stupid. I go, okay, you're right, but still, like, kind
of missing the point there.
Get past that,
segueing.
Like,
there's probably like 10 Christmas films I forgot to mention. There's so many good ones.
Yeah, I'm big on Christmas Vacation. Like I already watched that.
My mom loves Christmas. Mama SunsGeek loves Christmas Vacation. Man. She was watching that like in November. I'm not even joking.
I quote it year round. Anytime somebody says something, I say, "Bend over and I'll show you." Just Friends is one that's kind of slept on. That's a really good one.
Yep.
And then I like White Christmas, It's a Wonderful Life, Elf. Like
I can't believe I forgot Elf. There's so many, man. We could do a whole podcast on Christmas episodes because there's not much Suns basketball to talk about. Uh-oh. Are we still live? I don't know if John's still here or is my internet that cut out. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. Nathan says we're still live. Well, I'm assuming I'm still live. I don't know if John cut out. Somebody put in the chat if you guys can hear me. You're still live, guys. Okay, so I think okay, yeah, okay. Thank you, Nathan. I was about to say. So yeah, that looks like that's going to be a wrap on this podcast, you guys. I didn't know what happened there. Internet connection happens. I will just say this because I was gonna. Oh, we're getting John back. Maybe we're gonna keep this podcast going, baby. Either way, I'm gonna say my final thoughts because John was gonna ask me what my final thoughts were earlier. So I just want to say this though, Suns fans, and I really mean this from the bottom of my heart, since this is co-streaming on my channel and on the Suns Jam Session podcast. I know it's tough times right now for the Phoenix Suns. I know that Suns Twitter and the Suns community is probably at civil war right now. You know what I mean? But please try to believe in the Suns team. Please don't lose hope in Devin Booker. Just believe we can turn things around. Once we get healthy, hopefully everything comes back and we start winning again. Just believe in this team. Let's take it one game at a time. It's a long season, Suns fans. So just wanted to finish that podcast off because John probably would have asked me if I had any final thoughts. But yeah, we're probably going to end this podcast because it looks like we're having some connection issues. So yeah, I think that's it, guys. I love y'all. You guys are awesome. Stay safe out there. Happy holidays if you guys celebrate. Stay safe. And I don't really know how to end this. I think John has to do it on his end. But yeah, just believe in the Phoenix Suns, y'all. We will turn things around. Peace out. God bless. Go Suns.
Is this thing still going?